Hey, I wanted to do a video about Christmas. Yeah, I know, Christmas, it's scary, it's coming up quick. And I've had quite a lot of questions recently about how do I cope with Christmas. I know it's a really stressful time for relationships, and there is a really good reason why January is a very busy season for divorce lawyers. And that is because whenever you get to spend quality time with your partner, if there are already cracks in the relationship, that's going to put extra stress on it. So if you can imagine, over Christmas you haven't got the daily routine because there's no maybe school run, maybe you've got time off work. So the things that keep you apart from each other and focused on other things, those distractions are gone. So really you're focused in on each other and the relationship a lot more. So it just goes to show that when you do have quality time, if you've got a great relationship, then there's no problem. But if there are problems with your relationship already and you're coming up to Christmas time and you're worried about it, then here are a few top tips that you can do to try and avoid those pitfalls. You know, some things that you must avoid that you can plan for in advance. So number one, top tip is have a planning meeting. Now I know that sounds very business-like, but actually a planning meeting with your partner about Christmas is actually a really wise thing to do. Now I would advise you do this when the kids aren't around, when you've got some quality time, phones are off, just so that you can have a quick chat about what is Christmas going to look like. For example, there's lots of different aspects to cover. The first one will be budget, obviously, because Christmas can be extremely expensive, and lots of little costs can crop up along the way. So you've got to think about everything from how much are you agreeing to spend on Christmas presents for other people, if you have kids, for the kids, and then also for each other, because you don't want that disappointment or that, oh gosh, you know, we spent too much. So have an honest chat about it, and if that is an issue for you or has been in the past, then address it. And that's one of the things that I think is really important anywhere in a relationship, to address issues before they get to some huge insurmountable problem. Don't let things fester. So if you learn from mistakes, looking back at last Christmas and what went wrong, if money was an issue, then definitely talk about budgets, but also agree to stick to them. There's no point agreeing it and then not sticking to it. And that is, often a really big problem for people, that budgets aren't stuck to even if agreed. So sticking to it once agreed is also really important. Now, about expectations, this is really important. I see this all the time in January at my clinic, that people have come to see me saying, Christmas was the last straw. And quite often it's because people have different expectations of what Christmas means. So for example, if you're working all the time and got a busy career or job, or you're constantly rushing around, maybe the Christmas holiday for you is putting your feet up and not having to do anything. Okay? But maybe for your partner, it is a time that you spend time together, or that they expect you to look after the kids while they do the Christmas preparations. You know, every family works differently, every relationship works differently. You know, is there an expectation that you both switch off, put your feet up, or does that mean that one of you has to do all the cooking, or does one of you want to do all the cooking? So it's about setting those expectations so you don't come in and get frustrated with each other because you're not doing what the other one expects without even discussing it. So for example, last year in January, after Christmas, I had a lady who came along and she said, I just wanted him to help me around the house. Like, there's so many things to do. He'd invited his family and we had friends popping in. We had a few drinks, things going on, and there was so much to do. And because he wasn't working, I was hoping that, he could get stuck in, maybe go and get the wine sorted. Also, she wanted him to help with the kids because they were obviously a distraction. And even though she knew she was better at organising certain things than he was, and she was more than happy to do that, she needed him to look after the kids. But what happened was, his expectation was, I've been working super hard all year. This is my one time to put my feet up, not do anything, eat the food that's in the house and just relax. So you can see where the frustration and the tensions came along. And because they hadn't talked about it, it caused huge rows. So expectations, another thing to discuss and sort out in advance. So now, November, I know it's early, but it is a really good time just to start looking at these things. And then also family. For some people, spending time with their family or their in-laws is always going to be stressful. And just because it's Christmas, there's no rule to say you're all going to get on any better. But obviously, it's traditionally a family time, so we spend time with in-laws or relatives of from all over the family. So if you know that there's always going to be a challenge, say for example, one of my clients, she's really worried that she's got her mother-in-law coming, and usually she pops in for, and she might stay overnight, but that's the longest, and actually she's coming down for 5 nights over Christmas, and they've already discussed it and it's coming. She's super worried because she feels like her husband never sticks up for her, and she knows that causes big problems, and she can take it, and she's taken it, and she's sort of sucked it up. She doesn't like conflict, but she just feels really hurt by it all, and it ends up in rows after the mother-in-law has gone, because she just withdraws and retreats emotionally. And she doesn't want to put herself through that. So what we came up with was for a plan for her to talk to her husband about it in advance. Now, there's lots of things you can do. For example, if you know that there's going to be tension, then just give them a heads up and say, look, what I would really appreciate is for you to have my back. So you don't have to start World War III, but maybe you could come up and give me a cuddle, or just give me a wink, so I know that that you recognise that I'm sucking it up and not saying anything. Or maybe you decide that they say certain things, or that you'll both leave the room, or that you'll go out for 20 minutes or the evening, whatever it is that will work for you. So everybody's different. You all need different coping strategies for your particular family and the dynamic that you've got set up. But it is important to think about these and plan for it in advance. So I hope that's helped. I know that Christmas can be super fun, and it's obviously a festive time and you want to make the most of it. So do think about these things, have a think through, plan, so that you can ensure your Christmas is a really happy one. And you can avoid some of the inevitable pitfalls, because we're all human and it's Christmas, and we want to make the most of it. So I hope that's helped. Have a good day.